Acting live. This is going to be fun. Our first practice of having you live on camera.
Oh, this is a practice?
No, this is the real deal, but this is also practice for you.
Okay, yeah.
All right, we are live.
All right.
All right. Hey, Dad, thanks for being with me. I appreciate having you here.
I look forward to any opportunity to spend time with you, even if it's virtually.
uh, um, well, I just want to introduce you to everyone. Hi, everyone. This is my father, Rafi. Actually, this whole Father's Day Heroes interview series started with me just wanting to acknowledge my dad, and then it just kind of evolved into doing this in a bigger scale. But Dad, you are the inspiration for me on a lot of things, and I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for setting me up to be at this point in my life doing all I'm doing.
Well, I will take any compliment I can get. I certainly appreciate it.
I'm gonna start asking you some questions, and you just
Sure.
feel free to answer them. However, what are you most proud of as a father?
Well, I'm proud of the three of you. I feel like I never really had thoughts about being a dad growing up, but the idea that the three of you turned out really well and just became very nice young men with good hearts. That's where my pride is. You're the best part of me, I guess.
That's nice. What would you say was the most challenging part for you being a father?
Well, I think there are two things. One, there were three of you in 3 years. So the dynamics were compounded by having three kids, one entering a stage, one leaving a stage, and one in the middle of it. But really, the probably the most challenging part is no matter how many self-help books are out there, and by the way, I read zero, none of them. Um, there is no manual on how to raise your kids, your environment, and just the give and take. You kind of figure it out as you go along. And you never know if you're doing the right thing. You're just trying to figure it out. I think that was the most challenging thing. You just didn't know. And you don't know until maybe it's almost over, until you're the kids and you guys are young men now, until you're adults. You just don't know.
Would you say you did all right?
I think so. I think so. I can't take credit for everything. Although, if I'm going to take the blame for a few things, I might as well take the credit too, even if I didn't have a hand. I'd rather be lucky than good. But I believe I had a hand in it. Um, I'm most proud, going back to an earlier question, that the three of you had more fulfilling childhoods than I did. I didn't have a bad childhood, but I think, at least through my eyes, you were exposed to more things, you did more things. And whether it was for the better or not, I feel like I could live parts of what I wanted my childhood to be through the way yours went through, how you lived yours. So yeah, I felt pretty good about that.
Thanks. Yeah, I know both you and Mom had tough upbringings, so I felt pretty privileged. I mean, we had it pretty easy, I would say. So I'd say you accomplished in making sure we had a better life than you were given in the beginning. So thank you. Or childhood, not life. How do you feel like raising us and being a father has shaped you into a person?
Well, being a father has given me empathy. I can better understand walking in somebody else's shoes, what they might be going through, what they might be thinking, at least acknowledging that they might have a different point of view. Because with the three of you, it wasn't always black and white. You had to think about what what your kids were going through, how they might be responding. I didn't always know. may have said something, but I didn't know necessarily what you were actually hearing. So I learned some empathy, and I think it made me better in my own work career, in my own life. Um, but I think I became a softer person and more understanding by having the three of you in my life.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I'd say we have a nice warm connection. Do you feel like you have any regrets as a father? Something that if it could be different, you would have it be different?
Honestly, I think if your mom and I had a better relationship, I think it would have been better for the three of you. And I take responsibility for that. So I think that might have been better. But you never know. If it wasn't this, it might have been something else. But I have to tell you, I'm going to say something to you particularly.
Boy.
I I have to say, when you first raised this idea that you wanted to interview me, I didn't really know what to say, but I figured I'll just speak off the cuff and what's in my heart. But I have to tell you, you went through Little League. You participated in a sport that you didn't want to be in, but you never really complained about it. You just did it. And I cannot believe it. And I felt terrible afterwards. Like, how is it that he went through this? Most people would have quit by now. So I realized that the influence that we have as parents is that we're trying to make our kids fulfill an image that maybe is not realistic. And but you never complained about it, which, I'm sure you have your own thoughts about it. But yeah, I thought about that after you used that.
Wasn't so bad. I think I was more sore about the Taekwondo thing.
Oh yeah,
Baseball
that
was
was
okay.
yeah.
But I was also pretty determined. I'm actually glad at least of the things I did, I stuck with them. I look
Yeah.
at my shortcomings in life and sometimes follow through being one of those things. At the very least, there's been clear parts of my life where I followed through on doing something and I felt really good to have done that. Yeah, I probably was in Little League for like 10 years too long, but you know, and I wasn't very good. I think I hit the ball once a season was my quota. And there was one year I did a cool little barrel roll to catch the ball, but other than that,
But when I look back on it, it was awesome because you were not a quitter. If nothing else, you are not a quitter. So, so if I have a regret, and again, you could say with each of your kids, it's I wish I had known what you really wanted to do, as you were growing up, and I think I would have given you that opportunity, but I didn't know. And then you became all three of you were in scouting, and you became Eagle Scouts, and I thought I took a lot of pride in that. I had very little to do with it. It was the three of you, but when you gave me those little awards, and I know you had some second thoughts about whether you should give Dad that pin. He'd already gotten two others from the other boys, but it made me feel good anyway. So thanks for doing whether it was the right thing or not. Thank you for doing that.
I don't know that there's not a right or a wrong, but I think you have done a good job. And, there's always things that could be better. But the one thing I know is your intentions and your heart has always come from a space of love. And I can't regret anything about any of it because it's all brought us to this very interesting place. And I think we're all better people because of the journey we've been on, for better or worse.
I have to say something, but being a dad, one of the things that, how are you doing, Jonathan? I see my other son. So one of the things that I remember is that I had a lot of anger towards my dad for not being more involved in my life. And it really wasn't until the tail end of his life, the last year or so, when he said something to my brother and myself that really resonated with me that I would like to pass on to all three of you. And that is, He said to me, or to us, I'm glad you didn't have the childhood we had, that I had, meaning him. And I did the best I knew how to do. And I thought that put it in perspective for me and for all adults. I realized at that time he didn't have the role models. He didn't have a standard to lean on. And we never really know. As I said earlier, there are no manuals on how to raise your kids in your environment. It just doesn't exist. So you do the best you know how to do, and you hope and pray for the best. And then when it's all said and done and you see the finished product, you take pride. Whether you had a lot to do with it or not, you take pride in it. So, but I thought that that really resonated with me, and I'd like to pass that on to you. We just do the best we know how to do. And that's for you too, as you have kids.
Next, I'm gonna plug Jonathan in here because he's only got a few minutes before his call. I brought Jonathan in because I wanted him to be part of this conversation. I want to ask you, Jonathan, what's we're gonna acknowledge Dad now. What do you love most about Dad? Who has he been for you, and what can you count on him for?
Well, let me tackle the first part of that. Dad's always been, to me, somebody who has really had an impact on my life. I think to a lot of the stuff I didn't really enjoy at the time, but I look back at it and I say, you know, it really made me who I was. You know, I remember painting the pool for, you know, $5 a panel, painting. I mean, Dad, you definitely got cheap child labor out of it, but I got much more than money, than, you know, just the money that we got. I mean, I think back to moving mulch in the driveway, you just really instilled this work ethic in us that if you want to do something, you can do it, and you can do it yourself. So that was one thing that's always kind of stuck with me, that, you know, I'll always kind of remember of you. The other stuff is, I know it was, it was hard. It was very hard for you to, with your work, you were traveling, but you always made time for us when you got back. I remember going to, you know, batting practices. I definitely remember you taking me at 5 a.m, probably exhausted, to hockey practice, and making sure that I was able to stop and get a donut on the way home. So
Dickies Donuts.
Yeah, I have a lot of fond childhood memories, but you know, as a person, you're a real leader of our family. I know things are not always easy. Things may happen that, you know, we didn't expect to happen, but you've always kind of been the calming force, you know, leading us into whatever happens next. And I've always appreciated that about you, and looking forward to doing the same when it's my turn to be a father.
And you know, you'll do a better job of being a dad, both of you, than I did, because you look at what you had and you try to make it better. And it's just, I think that's just the way of life. You do your best to make it better as much as you know how to. And the other thing, and I appreciate those kind words, is that I found for myself, in some ways, I was living my life, my childhood, through your experiences. Not always, but sometimes. And it was kind of neat. I remember an experience, I don't know if the two of you remember, you were always, both of you were looking to postpone doing homework. And then when one day your mom and I said, okay, you don't have to do homework, pack up, we're going to Disney World tomorrow. Do you remember how you guys were jumping up and down? And
I do remember. I remember you are, I feel like you're this person who, you build it up, because I remember you had like the brochure videos and you made us watch and we watched them a bunch of times and you're like, oh, we'll never be able to afford it. And then, yes, you know exactly what you did.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you did. You have this subtle way of getting enjoyment out of the, I don't even know what the word is, but the tension or the suspense is the word that I'm looking at. The suspense of, hey, I'm going to make your day, but let me torture you a little bit first.
Listen, you guys tortured me at times. You didn't your day payback. But I do remember when we went to Disney World, Nathan was still in that clingy stage. He wanted to be with his mom and me. But when it came
Don't tell the story. Don't tell
You
the
can
story.
tell. You can tell it.
I don't remember the ride, but it was going up that Tower of Terror.
See, you do know. See,
I do know.
You know.
And you and your brother, your older brother, Jeremy, were both, real tough about being on the rides and everything. But that ride you two wanted nothing to do with. But Nathan, in his clinginess, wanted to be with his mom and me. So we went up there. I think he lost his cleanness right after that.
Yeah, it ended for me there.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of good memories.
But I know what you're saying. Sometimes I did like that surprise factor because the look in your eyes, because boys, girls, I guess it doesn't matter, but kids, there's this innocence. And when I look at you and looked at you and your reaction to things, the pure enjoyment and excitement, it wasn't fake. It was the real thing. And, like when you go into the work environment, people play the politics, they play whatever, but with the kids, you're getting the real emotion, the real feelings. It's like looking at your dog, you're getting, you're getting pure love. So
you still do it though. You still do it. So I'm going to take that as we're still pure and innocent.
Not so much.
We fell from the tree a little bit. I think early 20s were bad.
Yeah, not so bad.
Yeah. Well,
guys, you are the best part of me in terms of, from a legacy point of view. I haven't always done all the right things, but I feel like, as it pertains to the three of you, that we kind of got that right. Yeah, there were moments, whatever, but I think on the whole, we got it right with you guys. And I feel pretty good about that. So.
Thanks, Dad. I know you're just someone, I won't get into details, but when we've gotten into big SHIT, I know you've taken the calls at 3:00 in the morning, and
oh my God, yeah.
We don't need to get into that, but you're dependable.
But you dread the late night call if it comes, because you don't want to lose any one of you. You don't want anything bad to happen, and that's the other thing I want to say is, when you're under our roof, we worried about you guys, like, you're going to come home in time or what you were doing. But as you've gone on to your lives, we kind of I think we watch more from a distance. And if we see that you're kind of, you need a little bit of a push or a nudge, or you're a little off track, and I try to weigh in here and there, but you guys know how to do pretty much the right thing when you need to do it. But I watch more from afar. So even though you might not hear from me every day or whatever, it doesn't mean I'm not paying attention. I do pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, you guys definitely still talk about each other. So I get the information either directly, secondhand, third hand, but I do get the information.
Thanks.
Here's sometime, Dad.
We got
a mediator. I mean, 3 boys. I mean, oh God, you guys said, hey, we're gonna do this thing. So
God, 3 in 3 years. But I have to tell you, I started to say, you weren't on at the time. I probably, given my childhood, I could have gone either way, having or not having kids. And we went through, and we haven't talked about up to now, we went through 7 years of infertility. before you guys showed up, naturally 3 and 3 years. And yes, it was overwhelming, but I would not take that back. I'm, you know, again, I love each of you, and I'm just so grateful that you're here and all that. I mean, there were times when, well, look at me, I don't have much hair left.
He did that. That was him.
He did that? No, I probably, you know.
Done before I got here.
But the thing is, it was crazy, but at the same time, it was, you know, it went too fast. It just went too fast. So, but I, you know, more than anything now, it's like, I like the idea when you reach out already. It's not just an expectation; it's a privilege. I enjoy hearing from you. What's going on?
I only have a few more minutes, so I appreciate it, and I'm actually, you know, I've been thinking a lot about it more and more. But you know, as we move into the next phases of our life, you know, the idea of you someday being a grandfather, and yeah, right, you being a grandfather and being able to teach my kids, Nathan's kids, the lessons that we grew up with. Because I don't, you know, you talk about there not being a book or anything like that. I didn't receive a book either. Okay.
There
I
is
don't
no
have
book.
the answer.
Yeah.
So you're going to be my rock through that too. I'm going to need help changing diapers, learning how to change diapers, learning how to deal with not sleeping. I got friends that are going through this now, and I just, you know, look at them, and it's like looking into the future. And I say to myself, you know, I don't know how my parents got through it, but you know, I know that I'll be definitely grateful for you being a
Well,
part.
I'll tell you something. One of the things I learned, thank you for saying that, but no two kids are the same. And I'm constantly amazed that 3 of you under the same roof could be, are your own personalities. And I've often said to people, if they ask me how many kids I have, I said, I have 3, one of each, because you're all so different, but not in a bad way, in a good way. It's just that you're unique. And I'm amazed that you would think environmental factors would make at least 2 of you more similar, but you're so individual. And actually, I'm amazed at it, but I'm also grateful, because 3 distinctly different personalities, but I think you're complementary also. And the thing is, I think you like each other. And that's, I mean, it's harder, it's easier to love a person, but you could not like them. I actually think you like each other too. You care. I know you care for each other. You love each other. And I feel pretty good about that. I don't know how much of a hand I had in that, but the likability is so important.
Well, look, guys, I'm up against the time,
You
but
usually are.
I love you guys both. Dad,
Love you too.
Happy Father's Day. I know I saw you earlier. I plan on seeing you later, but I love you. Happy Father's Day, and thank you for everything.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Hey, John. Love you, man. Thanks for coming on, Dad, and making this a special moment.
Well, it's my pleasure. I don't know if I said what you wanted or what you asked. You had some questions, I think. I don't know if I answered.
I put the paper over there. I figured we were just having a talk.
It probably is different interviewing other people's dads than when you do your own. You're probably hoping that I'm not going to embarrass you when you.
Listen, I'm gonna wrap it up with you, but I just wanted you to know, Jeremy loves you. He wanted to be here, but he was also a little camera shy. So, yeah,
I love him with all my heart, and I love you too. And again, just you guys are my rocks. Jonathan said about the rock, you're my rocks too.
Well, that's what makes a family work, is we're all in it together, and when we need strength, we come to each other.
Okay, I think it's a great idea what you're doing. I really do.
Thanks, Dad. I love you. Thank you for doing this, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Dad.